All right, good morning, everybody. As usual, give me the date, it's 9:29, it's about 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's go ahead and start our presentation. Okay, move this away. Sorry, this computer is very touchy. All right, so no, we're not starting from the beginning. We're going to pick up where we left off. Yesterday we left off with the beans. So today we're going to get into root and tuber vegetables. Okay, root and tuber vegetables. Grown underground or partly underground. Root vegetables rich in sugar, starches, vitamins, minerals. Single root extends in the ground, leafy part above the ground, carrots, beets, radishes, turnips, onions. So you'll be able to see, like if you've ever grown these before, I'll show you pictures of the different onions. Like you have green onions in your yard. Like we'll get to it, but I showed a picture of what they look like. Tuber vegetables, enlarged bulbous roots, fat underground stems, potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams. All right, that's what a tuber is. So your baked potato, that is called a tuber. All right, without further ado. All right, root and tuber vegetables, beets. A lot of people, and there's going to be some great applications with beets. I never liked beets as a kid because we always just had like canned beets, and I never enjoyed that. Going to culinary school, I learned that beets could have tremendous flavor if they're cooked the right way. And it all has to do with the size of the beet too. Like you can get beets that are huge. I mean, I've seen beets like this big, but it's very hard to cook those, especially if you try to roast them whole. But like I said, a lot of these vegetables have a lot of sugar in them. Like a lot of the sugar that you guys see, the white granulated sugar, a lot of that is beet sugar. So we'll talk about that another time too. Typically in restaurants now, you'll see a lot of pickled beets, roasted beets, baked beets. These are the ones they want to use, mainly because they're easier to cook. Well, they're easier just because they're more uniform. These are baby beets, and they look a lot prettier on the plate. The big giant beets are still good, don't get me wrong, and they're great if you do them with like vinegar and sugar and whatever recipe you're trying to use. It just depends on what your application is. Okay, carrots. Pretty self-explanatory. This part grows underground. This part grows above ground. Very high in vitamins and minerals. Sauteed or served as crudités, garnishes, raw, good color, no blemishes. They have a variety of colored carrots now too. So you can have purple, yellow, orange, and they're a main ingredient now on your plate. They're doing baby carrots, and the baby thing is huge because a lot of people like seeing the whole vegetable. So they'll serve a baby carrot with just the little stem on there, and you serve the whole carrot, and it looks very pretty on the plate. Okay, leeks. Leeks are a type of onion, very mild flavor. They have a lot of what they call albumin. I think it's albumin that's in there. Basically, it's like a clarifying agent. We typically use these in restaurants. We would cut from here, like right below the green, all the way down to the root. This is because that is very tender, and you can saute this, add this to soups, fry it. You can deep fry these, and they're really, really good. This top part is very, very leathery, but it's clean. When cleaned, it's really good in stocks because it has a very good flavor. And this is a picture of a wild beet, or not a wild beet, a wild leek. Onions, I'm going to get into these in a couple days when we start doing applications, because this does not represent the amount of onions that we have in this world. Endless applications for onions. I've never seen like an onion dish as a main course, but these complement flavors in so many ways, from raw to cooked until caramelized till French onion soup. I mean, there's so many things, but we'll get into those. Potatoes, same thing. Here's what a potato looks like grown underground. I think they just flip the leaves under it so you could see what it looks like, but completely grown underground. That's why you need to wash these really well, because you have no idea what's in that dirt. Um, but very rich in vitamins and minerals. And actually the skin contains, what I've been told, contains the most vitamins and minerals of the fruit or of the vegetable. And this just says baked or boiled. There's way more things you can do with the potato. So can't wait to go through these. Radishes, crisp texture, peppery flavor. I think they're very peppery too. Served as garnishes, crudité, salads, bright firm, bright and red color. So these are really good. You cut the ends off, cut the top off, wash them really well. I like to slice them thin and put them in water first to kind of kits out some of the bitterness of them. Great in salads, great in soups, on tacos, whatever you want them on. Once again, applications are endless. Scallions and shallots. So let me move me. There we go. Put me right there. This is a scallion. So a lot of people get these. There's scallions, chives, green onions. Green onions will have a little bit bigger of a bulb down here. Basically, this is what it looks like growing. These are grown in a garden. You might have a spring onion growing in your yard. When you pull it up, you're gonna have this little tiny bulb on it. It's a type of onion. You can't eat them, but this is what they look like. These are also great, chopped up, put in a, like we used to do a thing called fiend herb, which is like a mixture of chervil, parsley, green onion, and something else, I forget. But we just put it right on top of dishes before they went out, just to give you this pop of flavor. Shallots, part of the onion family, but this is a more delicate onion. This peels apart into separate bulbs. Oh, sorry, really. Very sweet. Classical French dishes a lot of times won't use just a straight onion. They always want shallots because it's such a delicate flavor. It never overpowers the dish. Okay, sweet potatoes. Lots of beta carotene in them to make them bright orange or yellow. Sweet flavor, baked, boiled, pureed. And then these are typically, if you want to do them boiled or do like a sweet potato mash, you're going to want to get a lot. You can get whatever size of these. If you're going to do a baked sweet potato for like a dinner, you always want to get, similar sizes, and don't get anything massive. They get a little fibrous then, so you want to get one that's about, I don't know, I wouldn't go bigger than the size of your fist, maybe a little bit longer. Turnips, and rutabaga, great vegetables. For people who can't have, who don't want potatoes all the time, rutabaga mash is really tasty. Turnips roasted, that's what this is down here, is so delicious. It's a vegetable that's very underrated, and a lot of people just look at it and they're like, I don't know what to do with that thing. But all you do with these is peel them, cube them. You could either steam them, boil them. I like them like this, cut small, tossed in olive oil, rosemary, salt, and pepper, and then you just roast them until they're tender. Like you can put a knife in there and it pulls out. Very good. Yams, a lot of people get these confused with sweet potatoes. They are similar, but yams have a lot more sugar in them. I think typically yams are very different shapes and sizes, get really large, and a lot of times these are found canned. In the fall, you can find these fresh. You don't really want to just do a baked yam. You usually want to peel these because sometimes they're kind of huge. Great Thanksgiving dish. Artichokes. It's one of my favorite dishes in the world. Anything with an artichoke in it. So the thing with artichokes is you really have to know how to take care of these things. See this part right here? That's called a choke, because if you try to eat this thing and that's still in there, it's going to choke you. So what you do is you cut this in half, scoop the choke out with the spoon, and then some people cook these whole and just get the meat from the little petals here. I like to cut them like this, where you cut everything off and you have this inner part, and then you can steam these real quick or boil them real quick and then grill them. But they have to be soaked in water with lemon juice because they will turn really quick and oxidize. Asparagus, same thing. Well, I don't know, same thing. Great vegetable, one of my favorites. Can be green or white. Basically, with the green ones, this is how they grow. They grow straight out of the ground, and then this is like a woody stalk. The white ones basically are the ones grown underground and they never see light. That's when the I don't know what the word is not coming to me right now. Photosynthesis. That's when that does not happen and you don't get the color in it. Okay, you guys will learn about this in biology. But without the sunlight, the color does not get inside, and that's when you get the white ones. And once they grow out of the ground and grow up, that's when you get the green ones. The white ones are way more expensive because they're based, I don't know, they're harvested really early, and that's pretty much when they're done. So you can't really keep regrowing those things over and over. Once this is cut off, it's cut off. So it can be steamed, roasted, sauteed. These are another one. If you've ever had this and it's canned, don't do that. Have it where it's sauteed, roasted, and depending on how thick these are, and we'll go through those tomorrow or the next day, is how you want to cook it. If you have real skinny ones, just saute them real quick. If they're very fat and large, you can roast them. And then I think I did a video where you guys see how to snap these. All right, celery. Another thing, it's very strong flavored. This has never been the main part of a dish, but it's always been added to mirepoix, celery, onion, carrot, as one of the flavoring bases for soup, stock, sauces. This is great sauteed with onions and added for rice, like rice pilaf, served raw as crudités. You guys have seen a lot of these. These soak up water like nothing else. The second you cut this, put it right in some ice water, and it'll, even if it's like floppy, put it in ice water, it'll suck that water up like a flower and be fine. Mushrooms, we could do a whole day on mushrooms. This is just some of the different ones. It didn't come out really well. You know, you got portobello. You can't really read these. I'll get you a different, we'll do a mushroom show. Not all mushrooms are edible, by the way. Some are very poisonous. You really need to know which ones you're getting into, and some of them vary, or, you know, price-wise, like these little buttons are like $2 a pound, where you have truffles, and we could do a video on truffles, that'd be awesome, which grow underground, and you have to take a pig, and the pig will smell for these things, and you dig them up, and those go for hundreds of dollars a pound. So morels, that's another one. That's a mushroom that grows wild in Indiana, and they grow under specific trees in the woods at one time a year, and they pop up, and you have to have a special eye for these things. And once again, they sell $30, $40 a pound, depends on how big they are. Okay, as far as purchasing vegetables, this should be a good grocery store one. I went to the store, but it was a quick visit. Most things can be grown all year round now. Hydroponic farming. Oh, I should show you the Disney video. So hydroponic farming basically means these are not grown in ground. They're grown in a greenhouse in these giant water beds like this, okay? And it's really clean, natural. There's not any fertilizers or anything used typically in here because this is covered and it's a protected area. And then the dirt itself is not going to have any contaminants in it because there's no dirt. And then what's the thing with purchasing vegetables? It depends on what time of year it is when you want to get these things. It's going to depend on the quality, okay? So it's like if you buy a pumpkin in January, God only knows where that thing came from and why, you know? But they grow great. That's why they're used in Halloween, because they grow right now. They're fresh. I imagine somebody could grow a pumpkin in a different time of year, but why would you want to? Quality grades, same quality grades for fruits and vegetables. USDA grades are for fresh vegetables, high to low. Extra fancy, and then all the way down to US number 3. US grade extra fancy is best grade for canned vegetables. I somewhat agree with that. My typical thing is if a vegetable or fruit is so pretty and so nice that it's perfect in every way, no imperfections. They're not going to put that in a can typically. I wouldn't say. I mean, this does, but I would think that those are the ones that go on the shelves, those ones that get sent to restaurants, because they're perfect. Ones that have blemishes and imperfectness, they can take an apple, take the bad looking side off, or the whole thing, and then put that in a can because you don't know what it looked like originally. But this, if it says that, it says that. But I'm not understanding why. Storing vegetables, store at 41 degrees or lower. Some don't need to be refrigerated, like potatoes, but they have to be out of sunlight. Potatoes that are left in sunlight, they start to get this greenness under the skin, and that can actually become toxic. But you just want to store them in a cool, dark place. That's why a lot of old school houses have the potato bin. It's like a large wooden box that opens, and you put your potatoes in there. Some give off ethanol gas when they're ripe, or ethylene gas when ripening, so store them separately. Keep everything dry. And then the main thing is, refrigerate ripe vegetables up to 3 weeks. The main thing with this is don't wash your vegetables right when you get home, because you don't want to, because like what's on it naturally, like when you get at the store, if you have potatoes, whatever's on there naturally helps actually keep it like that. Okay, if you wash that and get water on it, it's going to tend for that to start, more likely bacteria could get on it. You got to remember, anything that has moisture, temperature, and food is going to end up with bacteria. So if you take away moisture out of that scenario, it's going to keep everything from getting this bad. So clean, wash everything under slightly warmer running water. You can go a little warmer with it. I don't like to use anything but cold water on fruit, just because I usually eat it right after that. But if you're washing vegetables, don't put hot water on them. Just use warm water, or just room temperature water. Leafy greens, that one you need to really soak leaf green vegetables, just because there's dirt in between all those leaves. It's best to cut them, like cut the stem off, or the core part on the bottom, so it can undo those, especially collard greens and stuff. Fill your sink up with water. Rinse these things like you're washing clothes. Drain out the water. Do it again until that water, you'll see dirt, literal dirt at the bottom. So you want all that out. And lettuce too. You'll find bugs floating in the water that you just didn't see. You can get cleaning solutions, but I like the video I showed you. I just used a little bit of vinegar. And yeah, wash close to prep time. As far as cutting this stuff, we'll do some demos on cutting. Separate containers for peelings and cut pieces, cutting board large enough for the amount of vegetables, make sure it's secure. Dicing, cutting everything to 1/2-inch cubes. Mincing is a fine chop. Okay, so celery, typically you want to cut, I've never even seen anybody use a peeler on celery, but you want to cut off the ends. Wash this really well, because it also will have dirt stuck inside those little crevices. And you can save the leafy ends for stocks. Garlic, I got a video on garlic for you. This one, we'll do a video, but you smash the top of it, separate the cloves, take your blade right here, smack the clove, and then the peel will just roll right off. And then mincing, this guy's slicing every piece by hand. Oh, he's removing any brown spots probably. And then cut off the little end. I think we watched a garlic video already. Potatoes, depends on what you're making. Like this is saying, determine the size of the cube of potato, wash and peel the vegetable, trim the sides so straight and half cut the panels. So it just depends on what you're making. I'll show you how to cut a potato. Come on, thing. Okay. Oh, and this says cut into logs and then cut into dice. So this is if you're doing like a potato for soup. So I see what he's doing here. So yeah, that's the cut for soup. We're gonna stop on this. Come on. And then I'm gonna show you this video real quick.
Mincing garlic. Begin by separating the cloves from the bulb. To do this, place the bulb on a cutting board and place one hand on top of the other, pressing down on the top to release the cloves from the bulb. Remove the outer layer of skin and discard it. Next, place a clove of garlic with the flat side down on the cutting board. Hold a chef's knife horizontally on the top of the clove. Push down. After loosening the garlic clove, peel off the skin. Use a knife to remove the root end and any brown spots. Next, place the peeled cloves on the cutting board. Sprinkle a dash of salt onto the pile. This trick will absorb the liquid that comes from chopping the garlic and helps to prevent the garlic from sticking to the knife. Hold the chef's knife with your cutting hand and use a rocking motion to work your way around the pile. Keep your guiding hand anchored flat on top as you mince the cloves into small pieces. Finish by rocking the knife over the cloves until the pieces are all an even size. Mincing garlic.
All right. All right, the only thing different, when I was in school, our chef would have us chop and then smash. And what that does with the smashing is it would push the oils out of the garlic and keep it clumped together. And it just makes it a lot more aromatic. So it just depends on how you want to do it. Storage-wise, once you chop garlic, you could save it for a couple days chopped until you use it. If you want to keep it longer, you could just put it in like olive oil and keep it in the fridge, or like salad oil. It just depends, but garlic holds for a really long time. So that is our lesson for today. Like I said, vegetables are so expansive that we could talk about them for days. I could. So that is what I have for you. And there'll be some questions later. All right, have a lovely day.